and he has a wonderful journey to share with us, his spiritual journey. And so I'd like you all to welcome our speaker for today, Paul Lyons.
Yay!
Of course, I'll just make this short. Like 5 minutes. I know.
No, you've got at least a half an hour.
We came here to hear our Paul.
Well, I grew up, I was born in San Jose, and I grew up in Cupertino. And, a little kid, little 5, 6-year-old kid, my older brothers and sisters would take me to church, or, Sunday school. But I didn't like to get all dressed up, which you have to get on a little tie and suit. But that, for a long time, I said, do I want to do this? Do I really want to do this? But then I got older, I said, I want to do this. But as I got older, I knew I was different. I knew that, okay, why do I like to hang around guys and really girls as much? But then I knew that what I really liked, but then I had to keep it buried inside of me for so long that, not that I was trying to hide it. But then when I got older, like in junior high school, I knew that I had to keep it more buried, because then I knew these guys that I heard some guys like to beat up people that were different or gay or whatever. I just said, Unfortunately, I had to keep it just like my back pocket, or just keep it quiet. But then I found out, because I used to watch Captain Kangaroo when I was a kid, every morning, and little Miss Dayton, Ohio, no, Miss Florida, Miss Anita Bryant. I didn't know that she was so anti-gay or whatever, and I said, no, I wouldn't give her fuel to the fire. And then I thought, when it really hit me was when one of the people I always wanted to meet was Harvey Milk. And then, stop it, you're not going to do it, you're not going to cry.
We're allowed to cry.
There's
We're allowed to be crying.
I know, but the thing was, I said, no, I'm not going to, and then I found out, and of course my father, may it rest in peace, was not too keen on gay people. Because my oldest sister, they begged and pleaded with my oldest sister not to marry her high school sweetheart, who she knew was gay. And then he went off in the Navy, and then of course she graduated. But the thing was, I had to keep, when Harvey Milk and Moscone were killed, I went to my bedroom and cried. No one knew it. Of course, I had to put on this facade like I have to be like everybody else. And no, don't be somebody that's all boo-hoo and super sensitive that you're gonna, collapse. Then I said, wait a minute. I told a friend of mine who I knew in high school that, I'm 22 years old, and I go, oh, guess what I did for the first time? I go, oh, I went to this bar in San Jose called the Interlude, which was my favorite bar, because a restaurant, panel bar on this side, and in the back was a dance floor and the whole bit. And so people knew me, I was a regular. I didn't drink, but the thing was, oh, why do you go to bars? You know, it's like, I don't need to have alcohol. And then a friend of mine, his name is Greg, he told me about MCC, and this was 83. And then, of course, I had just lost my job through the investment company I was working. And my mom, I was in the living room, and my mom was in the family room. And I was talking to my friend Jeff. He'd go, oh, I've been going to this gay bar. And my mom's ears perked up like radar. She heard the two words gay bar. And the next morning she goes, oh, Paul, I need to talk to you.
Oh boy.
And she goes, well, yeah, I've been going to gay bars. Well, I'm over 21, I don't drink, so what? It shouldn't really matter, you know. Well, if that's the way you want to live your life, you're going to have to find someplace else to live.
Whoa.
And then I said, okay, let me find a job first. I just gotten laid off, and we were going through this recession under Duke Majan at that time. And of course, Reagan, whatever,
Reaganomics.
And I go, well, yeah. And then fast forward to Labor Day that weekend, there was a bar in Cupertino. It was called, first it was called the Red Boar, and then it was called Kevin's, and then it was called Silver Fox in Cupertino, right across from what was then called Gemco. Now it's called Target. And I used to go in there after work, but then I come out of the place thinking, oh no, what if somebody sees me? And I said, no, it's like now, you know, this is like, and then MCC came along. I came January 1 of '84. That's where I met Ronnie, and then I met Janet, and then a couple years later, I met Dennis Moore.
Tell them what MCC means. I don't.
Metropolitan Community Church of San Jose. They've got metropolitan community churches throughout the United States and Australia, I believe.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay. I met Christine and her partner Ronnie, and of course Ronnie Grigsby doesn't want to admit, not that I'm talking out of school, but he always said, oh, I just met Paul just 2 years ago. I go, and then that's initially where I met Dottie and Corky, and then I met all these people, but the thing, and then I could be myself, but the thing was, and then Labor Day weekend of '83, I'm kind of backtracking, forgive me, this guy wanted to share expenses. He was living over by De Anza College, and okay, but I didn't have really, I was working part-time, and it wasn't, okay, and then all of a sudden my mom goes, 180-degree turnaround. It was like, oh, well, let you live the life you want to live if you don't move out. I'm thinking, what's going on here?
Whoa.
And oh, well, I didn't want you hurt because you don't know this guy. You just met him in this bar and da-da-da. I go, okay. This is 1983, and I'm thinking, but then, okay, I didn't move out. But the bad thing about that was, oh, I can go out with these people, but they couldn't come to the front door to meet me at the front door. I have to meet them out on the porch.
Wow.
And it's like, okay. And then the other thing was, but Paul, is it because of your quote-unquote disability that you're gay? I go, no. And then she goes, why don't you try to find a nice handicapped girl? And I said, no, that has nothing to do with it. I always knew what I liked when I was a little kid. And I thought, no. And then my younger sister was always trying to be supportive and very, oh, I love you no matter what, but she never used the quote-unquote word unconditionally.
Oh.
And then I thought to myself, okay. And then we went to this one restaurant in Cupertino, which is no longer, was over by Mervin's, called Marie Callender's. And I go, okay, a friend of ours and my sister and I went over there. Well, and then she tells me how she really feels. Oh, I think your life is going to go down the toilet. You know, if you
Wow.
stop living like you're living, and you may catch something. And I go, well, what's this? What? You've always said you were supportive of me, and I said, oh, what's going on here? Well, I thought if I really told you how I really felt, I thought you committed suicide. And I go, wait a minute. I knew how people at that time, and during those times, and at the time I didn't really want it because of the start of the AIDS crisis. I didn't want anybody to know. And my people that know about me now, I mean, it's like, and then one person, well, I won't mention a name, but you're so open about who you are, it's like, not really. I mean, I'm not in the closet, but if somebody asks me, I'll say, okay, sure. But like when I was in junior high, somebody said, oh, because you listen to 70s pop music, you must be, it's like, must be gay. It's like, no. What, Partridge Family? And it's like, oh, you must, no.
Barbra Streisand.
Barbra Streisand, Judy Garland, yeah, right. But no.
Show tunes.
I've never heard that before.
But the thing was, my dad, one of the things they had on during the time of the Tonys, quite a few years ago, when Bacage won all the awards, and this one guy accepted an award, and he actually kissed his lover on stage.
Yeah,
And I'm thinking, my dad was very negative. Oh my God! And then I'm thinking, I'm kiting myself. I'm going, you know. And I thought, wait a minute, you know I never told my dad, but I knew he knew, and he was. I'm not kind of ashamed to say it, but he was kind of like the Archie Bunker type person of San Jose. But he never said that. He never used the N-word. He never used the. It's like, yeah, he did, but of course they're not. Oh, he did not. And then I find out later, which I don't know if was true in his memorial, that as long as you're happy, as long as doesn't matter who you love, as long as, it's like he never told me that. My dad and I were never close because when he found out, and then at that time I was living on Moore Park in these apartments off of 280 before they put the sound wall up, and we never really talked. We small talk here and there, but we never really talked. We were never close, even when I was a kid, and it was just like, I know. And then I was telling somebody earlier, when I worked in retail, I'd see these kids hug and kiss their fathers and mothers, and I mean, my dad, during the time that he was growing up, he never showed affection towards, especially your sons, because maybe you were a wimp or whatever. And I was happy that when I came across MCC of San Jose, that I was more relaxed, and of course I was almost 30 years younger. I mean, I'm almost close to 60, getting closer and closer to 60. I'm not going to mention ages or anything, but I met Janet when I was in my 20s. And then she used to give me a ride home when I was living in Menlo Park, and she would take the Dumbarton Bridge back to where she was living. But the thing was, people, the fact that people accepted me, but the fact that why I had to, it was kind of a bummer that I had to hide it. Not that I wanted to, but then I thought, you love me for me, but if you can't, I can't let that be my problem. If somebody else is not there, not mine, it's somebody else's problem. And I just can't, oh no, I get to the point where, oh no, what are they, it's like, please. I can't lose sleep over it. And when the time comes when David and I tie the knot, I know it'll happen, but if my family's not there, I just say, part of David's family will be there, but if very little of my family's there, I just think it's there, something they have to deal with, and if they can't, I can't.
We are your
Yeah, I know, and I've always had, I had more families when different women, older women, they would tell me, set it straight, all this stuff that my mom used to tell me, but the fact was, all these women love them dearly, but they were mothering me. But it was, one thing I do, I'll make this short. When my dad passed away in April of '87, one thing which I went over to Reverend Dennis Moore's office at Grace Baptist upstairs, and he just told me, I even mentioned this at his memorial, that he just said, I know how you weren't close to your dad. I wanted to, but it's like, but he said, Paul, he loves you in his own way. I did accept it, but it took me a good long time before I could understand it. But the thing was, it took me a long time to even how I could accept it, but I managed. So, what else? But, I went through a lot of different kind of relationships, but the thing, like I'm sorry, I'm backtracking again, but the thing was, in '89, where I met my then partner, Chris, we had a little, had been to church in about 2 weeks. Prior to that, I was trying to meet him initially, and then we met time of day. And I thought, okay, I'll go to the city the following Sunday. Oh, I missed you, what happened? When one thing led to another, we were in the pew, and by the end of church, I was practically in his lap. So this one guy, Mark Davenport, said, oh, I saw, he was ushering that day. He goes, I'll never forget that. You guys were, but then, we eventually did grow apart. We were together 11 years. But then he fell with somebody else, and it's like, okay, I moved on. And I moved on, and David, who means so much to me, and I was like, he puts me, pardon the pun, but on the straight and narrow. But if it wasn't, because it's coming on March next April, it'll be 9 years. And so I don't regret coming across MCC or any of the other in my life, but that meant a lot to me. And I'm sorry Ronnie's not here, because he'd be cracking up and
No, boy.
he'd be, oh, I remember that. Now I remember.
Yeah.
Well, I want to tell you, Paul, that Ronnie called about when we got here at 9:30 to say, tell Paul, I wish I could be there for you, but I have to be at work by 11.
Yeah.
And I can't,
Yeah.
and I have
I had a feeling.
Yeah.
But-
So he was thinking about you this morning, and he was
Yeah.
wanted to make sure
Yeah.
you got that message.
Yes. So, I know it's getting close to that time, so I better say, pretty much that's my journey. And I may not have said, quote unquote, everything, but I made it.
Yeah.
Wait until you get involved with the Buddhist side of my family.
So, thank you for letting me speak.
And you didn't talk about the choir.
I know.
Yeah.
Paul?
He is such a wonderful
still has
voice,
time if he
and
wants
such
to.
a
Yeah.
great member of our choir. Yes, please.
May I offer something to you? I want to thank you, Paul. Every AIDS retreat, every service you've been, both at MCC and at CCL, you radiate a loving, open heart. And to have an open heart after all you've been through is a testimony to the strength of your heart, and I really want to honor it.
That's right.
Hey.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. It's difficult to get up here and have people looking at you that you don't know, and you know they have no idea who you are, what's going on until you
And
start. Yes, David?
Paul and I came to CCL on the same day because of Janet and Ronnie. Remember, Ronnie, I was at an AIDS walk. We ran into you, and they go, come to our church, and they said, well, and so
And
we
MCC San Jose was closing.
closed, and we came, the week it closed, the following week we were here.
Yeah. And here you've been.
Yeah,
Part of
but
our
it was
choir,
like-
part of our
It was
group.
like we came home.
That's so great.
was so
Thank you
good,
so
yeah.
so very much. Okay, well, I asked very quietly if our wonderful Reverend Sean Imler would sing a song that I just love that he wrote called The Island of Misfit Toys.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You have anything you want to say about it before you play it?
What is there to say?
One of the things I want to do is remember how to play it. See, the wonderful thing about being a musician is that you have the opportunity to try and remember lots and lots of things. And my challenge is to actually do that.
Amen, brother.
I'm just thinking to myself, what are those chords? Anyway, you know, I wrote this song. I don't really talk about this very much. I have a friend named Darwin, and we were having a conversation over email. I think it was over email. God, it was so long ago. And I actually attribute the concept of the island of Misfit Toys being San Francisco to him, because we were having this conversation and we were talking about the diversity of human beings in general and how, you know, if you've ever seen the cartoon itself from the 70s, it's about these toys that get discarded because they're not any longer fully functional. They've lost an arm or an eye has popped out and they get sent to this island. And there's like so many people in San Francisco are like that. It's like walking wounded for a lot of people. And it was such a perfect analogy, but I realized that it fits anywhere where there's a group of people that has been segregated for whatever reason. They look different, they think different, they just don't follow the status quo. And it feels like I'm always attracted to those groups too. You know, I'm the kind of person, if I walk into a bar and there's a game on, I don't really care who's playing, I just root for the underdog. So, I wrote this in homage to all those groups of people, so it's not just San Francisco, and it's not just the gay community, it's everything. You know, I just found out about Pulse this morning.
Yeah.
It was, you know, I just think about people that get isolated for their beliefs, for their unconscious drive, their will, whatever it is that they are. We've given so many opportunities for people to express themselves, to be different, and let that be acceptable. And then for somebody to take advantage of that, for somebody to wound what is already a wound. Anyway.
That's beautiful.
Disconnected and a little disrespected. You don't fit right in. Come with me, you're not alone. There are things we've not been shown, a different point of view. Kind, it's divine on the island of misfit toys. We have gifts to give the world. They're inside every boy and girl, but some of you don't know. Start expressing, walk with pride and share your blessing. You're doing the right thing. Raise the moon, we have room on the island of misfit toys. Of the shrew, it's the comedy on top of us, the kindred of the metropolis. I sent it a lesson. We're gonna progress to attain a higher order, existing without borders. I say this because I'm different than normal and informal, and we're not in isolation. We're not standing at the station. What's the special gift that you got? You don't use a whole lot, and it's sitting there and waiting like a crowd anticipating, watching NASA launching rockets, swirling sockets. The holes go in the pockets of the memories in our pockets, trying to get to what we were, what we is, what we was. Explaining and spelunking, getting down and getting funky. Gotta culminate the history, swing it to the present. It's a gift I gotta give, and not be hesitant. I can't do it solo. Gotta put it in the code, hook it wired when I'm fired. Gotta keep this baby fired. It's a unit of collection, extensible inspection. I struck it with a plectrum. I hit the inner spectrum. Alone we're isolated, but together we're the force of an identity, an entity, a common thread that's meant to be discovering, recovering the spirit that is suffering. Instigator, regulator, hooked in the defibrillator, supercharged, living the part of the community. Accepting that our differences create a town of unity. We're poets, musicians, we're nurses and physicians. Some are gay, some are not, but we're giving what we got. We don't judge you by your color, religion, or your race. We accept you if you're broken, and we're fearlessly outspoken. What's in pride, in their pride, and it's something we won't hide. We believe in imperfection, it's the gate to introspection. Raise the moon, we have room on the island of misfit toys. Give a lift, share your gift on the island of misfit toys. Find your kind, it's divine on the island of misfit toys. The
remembering it?
Remembering?
Incredible. Thank you so much, Sean. And just at a moment's notice, you know, it wasn't even, just, I thought, you know, that wonderful energy of being on an island where everybody is unique and different, and I feel that way sometimes when I walk in here on Sundays. We have all these wonderful people here who are unique and different and so talented. We have people who can sing and paint and write and be these beautiful, beautiful human beings, and I think it's so fantastic. So, and Jan has another event that she has to go to, and I'm so glad. Thank you, Janet.
Bye, Janet.
Happy birthday. Get your card. Yeah, there you go.
Love
She's got
you.
a card, she's
Love
got
you all.
things.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you home, babe. Thank you so much. Okay, we need that. Oh, we've got the baskets.
We got 'em.
Look at you.
You got it.
This is on the back of your program, is what it says.
Get into the ministry from which we receive our spiritual support and nurturing is an affirmation and consciousness of the truth that Spirit is the prospering power enriching every area of our lives. All I give comes back to me, blesses me abundantly. All I give comes back to me, blesses me abundantly. All I give comes back to me, blesses me abundantly. All I give comes back to me and blesses me abundantly. All I give comes back